didn't think it was gonna talk like that, did you? What's up, guys? Kai with TK Speed Shop, and I've been cooking something real special for you guys, so I'm glad that you held off on the video. I got the trigger finger and I wanted to go ahead and light this off because we had got everything set up to do so. So as you guys know, this is my 1970 Monte Carlo, and we LS swapped it, and we spent a lot of more money that I don't feel like discussing because that is not the point of this video. I want to give you guys my confession story on ACESEFI Jackpot for the LS motors, because there's a lot of disconnect on their Facebook group, their forums, online, and so far after tweaking with a couple things, I managed to at least get mine started up and get the learning process to start. First and foremost, I am not sponsored by ACESEFI or anything like that. As you guys know, I love to present a good product in front of you guys when I do try something out new. Again, ACES is like a third of the price that you will spend on like a Holley Terminator. It's pretty simple. I wired this one up through a painless kit because we had to replace all the wiring in this thing anyway. So I got all the bare essentials wired up to show you guys how to wire it up, and then we're gonna go through the wizard on the ACES, and then I'm gonna show you how I got mine fired. Now, before you start judging, again, I got trigger happy and I just kind of threw my wires everywhere, okay? But I can walk you through it. So when you unbox the ACES Jackpot, you're gonna get like this long harness. It uses the GM computer style clips. It's just like any other EFI system that you'll use. Everything's labeled. You pretty much lay the harness out and plug and play everything. It's gonna plug into your coils. They're self-explanatory, so like this size 2, 4, 6, 8. Same thing with the injectors. All that stuff self-explanatory. You got your coolant temp sensor is gonna plug in there. Everything connects in the back of the harness. Now, I will go ahead and state that there is a harness that came with this that I am not using currently at the moment. Where is it? It's on this side. There's a harness that I'm not using at the moment, and that is the loose wire harness. Now, am I going to use that harness? Yes, I'll be installing that harness once I get everything tied up as far as like how I want to route my wires, because again, trigger happy happens. But you do not need the loose wire harness hooked up to control and get it to fire off and get it to start learning. That's just for your add-ons and that stuff. So we're just gonna go ahead and discard this. Now, in your ACES kit, you're gonna get 2 wide bands. When I bought mine, I got like the sensor kit, which you can use it for your oil pressure, your water temp, or anything like that. Me personally, if you look back here, mine's back here on my fuel rail. I use mine for fuel pressure because I wanted to check my fuel pressure, and that's simply because I'm using a Holley's excuse me, retrofit like module in my tank. Okay, so I basically got a Chevelle tank and I just put the drop-in module in. It's self-regulated at 59 psi, and I just ran one single line all the way up to my fuel rail. Now I wanted to make sure that it was self-regulating at 59 psi, so that's why I decided to run my sensor in my fuel rail. You don't have to do that, but hey, it worked for me. Just want to let you know. Onward. So, starting with the tank, we got our line ran all the way from that tank, and we're running it through a micron filter and it's just a one line all the way up. Okay, easy peasy, pretty simple. We ran that line all the way up to the back side of the fuel rail. Back there, you can see it, it's different color. I did that just, you know, for simplicity's sake, so I can know when I look. God, I'm awful at explaining things. But for me, with that Holly pump, that Holly pump came with a pigtail, okay? I got a pigtail, and I got 4 wires off my pigtail. This one that I got ducked off over here is just your typical ground. This one that I got ducked off right here is actually for my fuel gauge, which again, you don't need that to run. So that just leaves me with a signal wire and a ground wire, okay? This signal wire I have ran all the way down my frame rail, okay? And on this ACES harness, there's this orange wire right here, okay? This orange wire is one of those loose wires that comes up off your harness. It is labeled fuel pump. Now, if your fuel pump exceeds the maximum of 15 amps, do not run that wire. Plain and simple, do not run that wire. They say it in their instructions as well. Mine runs on 15 amps. I have a 255 in the tank. Perfectly fine to run that wire. And the reason why it's perfectly fine to run that wire, because on this ACES harness, it comes with a relay that's already wired up for you that says pump relay. See how simple that is? One wire ran straight to my sending unit. Problem solved, no issues, pump kicks on. Great. From my fuel pump, I just ran a ground. Don't pay attention to the red wire. I promise you it's a ground wire. I just used what I had. If you're doing this, make sure that you run at least 12 gauge minimum. It even says it in the kit, and it says it on the Holly kit. This worked for me. 12 gauge minimum, that's all I have. Now, you also have 2 more wires coming up off this spot, okay? You see that red one and that black one come from the same spot that fuel one goes. They have to be connected directly to the battery. Your positive and your ground for the system has to be on the terminals, not tapped into another power source, not grounded on the frame, directly to your battery. This is important. It says it in the manual. Follow it to a T. This is a temporary battery. I hate the way that I have it set up right now, but for demonstration purposes, it works. And boom, we have 1 more wire, okay? This one I have routed inside my engine, well, from my engine bay to my cabin. See this wire right here? You're gonna have a wire in the kit. It is called ignition key. This is basically like when your ignition kicks on. Now, me, again, this is temporarily, I have that wire stuffed in the ignition key on my ignition switch, okay? You don't have to do that. Just make sure that it's a clean source, not a dirty source, not something that's tapped into something. Clean source. Don't butt connect it into something. If you have to run an auxiliary from your fuse box off that to a bus bar or to a power distribution block, what have you, make sure that it's a clean source. They say this in the instructions. The first time I tried to do it, it did not work. I went back. I did exactly as it said. no issue. Those are literally the 4 wires that you have to hook up to even get this thing to turn on and power on. Okay? You following me? Okay. From there, you see that we got our O2s. You have 2 of them. I got them on both sides. They came in the kit, if I didn't mention that already. Pretty nice quality. Other than that, that is all that is required to install the ACESEFI Jackpot LS system on your hot rod. Literally, that is it. All the other wiring is completely up to you, okay, or me, or how we're looking at this situation. Now, all this spaghetti that you see going on, that's on my end from me making the painless box work, okay? So of course, you're gonna take your purple wire from your, if you got a GM, you're gonna take your purple wire, it's gonna go down to your starter, and all that stuff still the same. Same way you wire up your alternator and all that's still the same as if you're doing anything else. So if you're doing an LS swap on something, 9 times out of 10 you kind of have the knowledge of reusing the factory wiring. I shouldn't have to explain any of that stuff, but that is all that's hooked up. Okay, now on my alternator, because this is something that gets asked a lot, I have a 1 wire alternator. Okay, I'm running an F body style alternator for the time being. I have a 1 wire. If you need a source, because that needs a clean source as well, if your car had wiring for an electric choke, that's your source. Mine's wired directly into that. As you can see on my painless kit, I don't know if you can read that or not, but you just got to take my word for it, because everything on painless is labeled. I got that wired into my electrical choke. My alternator charges perfectly fine. Not an issue. Now, let's switch back into the cabin and we can get down to the starting and the walking. Okay. Excuse the glare from the light. Now we're inside. I put that wire back to where I had it in that ignition switch. Now, hopefully you don't have to do all of this. That's just because all this crap, I still have to wire all that up. But you see, I got dead terminals all over the place. I did, for safety reasons, pull the fuses to everything that didn't need anything that I have laying around, just in case of the mishap that one of these wires ground out or something, so we're good on that shit. All right, so if you're like me and you got your ignition switch kind of like dangling right here, you're gonna take a screwdriver and you gotta put it in the key position. See how that turned on? All right, now I already got a tune set up into this, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk you guys through how I did this. So let's just say this is brand new. You just loaded up your system. So I can get you to where there's no glare. Let's see. Okay, can you see that? Okay. So you got your wizard icon. You're gonna go to your wizard icon. You're gonna have start wizard and TPS auto set. God, I wish this glare wasn't there. That sucks. I don't wanna. Let me just see, maybe that'll work. It's like the glare from this and that. I'm complaining. Anyway, so you're gonna go to your TPS auto set. No, because we do not have an electric throttle body, so do not worry about that. We're gonna go to start wizard. On your kit, you have 2 separate harnesses that come with this. You have a 24 and a 58. So whichever one that you're using on your LS motor, be it a Gen 3 or Gen 4, You should know this if you're LS swapping something. Us, we have a 24 tooth one. Now, it's gonna ask you for your cam type. Now, I have read on the forums that it's best to put it in the stock configuration the first time around. That way the car can get some kind of bass tune going for it. I clicked race because of my camshaft. I didn't wanna, again, this is me being hard-headed, but this is what works for me. So we have race. It's gonna ask you what kind of map sensor you got. This kit comes with a map sensor, okay? This is something that is not auto-selected in this system. When you get this system, it's gonna be automatically selected on AC Delco 12614-970 or whatever. Find the one that says T-Map AE1036. And it even said in your booklet, they'll tell you exactly what sensor you got. So we're gonna click that one. It's gonna ask, do we got a single wideband or dual widebands? We have dual widebands. Drive-by-wire. We do not have drive-by-wire. If you do, select yes. Now, this is probably where it becomes a little bit different between me and you. It's probably gonna ask you to do like a throttle position test where you take your foot, you push it down, the computer reads that your throttle's wide open, you take your foot off, the throttle completely closes. Pretty sure that's what that is. I can't verify that. I don't have a drive-by-wire. I have drive-by-cable. Most guys that do LS swaps, 9 times out of 10, you also have a drive-by-cable because we're cheap. No drive-by-wire. Transmission control. I am running the Turbo 400, therefore I have no transmission control. If you do, it's gonna ask you, do you have a 60E, a 65E, 70, or an 80, 85E? If you select any one of those, I know for a fact from reading the pamphlet that it's gonna tell you which version do you have. So if you have a 60E by chance, there's 2 different kind of 60Es. They got 2 different kind of second gears. Best advice I can give to you is get the tag off your transmission and find out by decoding it to figure out which second gear you have. If you're a Turbo 300, Power Glide, Turbo 400 kind of guy like me, we don't care. No transmission control. Number of cylinders, you can either slide it, plus it, or you can hit this middle button itself and personally key it in. We have 8. Injectors. You have to know what kind of injectors you got. So, is your injectors 42 pound? Is your injectors 36 pound? Is they 29 pound? Do you have some Deka 80s? Know your injector. It needs that information. We're running 42s, as you can see. I don't know if you can see. There you go. 42s. What is your engine displacement? If you got a 5.3, I believe it's 325. If you got a 4.8, it's like 293. If you got a 6.0, it's 366. If you got a LS1, it's not 350. I promise you, it's like 347, 348. Find out your actual cubic inch displacement. Make sure it's correct. If your motor's bored or anything, get that information. There's calculators online, on Google, that'll do that math for you. You just key the stuff in. Verify firing order. An LS firing order is 187-26543. Boom. Idle. Well, hot idle speed. Hot speed is what your idle that you want it to be after everything is completely warmed up. The motor has came up to temp, the thermostat's open, the fans just kicked back off to cool the motor down. What is your idle speed, or what do you desire your idle speed to be? Okay, we got our set at 650. And it's gonna give you a detailed list of every little thing you select, just so you can go over everything to make sure everything's correct. We're gonna hit yes. And it's gonna ask you, do you wanna save these settings? You're gonna hit yes. Now it's gonna ask you to turn your key off for 5 seconds, turn it back on, and the computer's gonna load it. So for us, we have to take our screwdriver. Let me set you guys right here. We're gonna have to take our screwdriver. Now that's off. Now when I click this back on, you're gonna hear my fuel pump in the background kick on. I'm gonna set you, I could probably set you right here and you can hear that fuel pump. You heard that? That means the system is hearing my fuel pump, okay? Now, you have some lights on this unit, all right? Boom, boom, boom. Your fuel pump is this fourth light, okay? That light only turns on when your fuel pump is on. Red, blue, red, okay? That means we are in the clear. Let me show you exactly what that means. LED Diagnostics. Light number 1 is red. That means the system power is indicated, which means the system is seeing, is getting the volts that is required. Number 2, the blue one, the engine run indicator. Engine running indicator. Blinking becomes rapid fast with speed, okay? Light number 3, the main relay. It is red. The main relay indicator, the ignition key is turned on, the main relay is turned on, and the key is turned off. The main relay is turned off after system saves the learning data. Good. And number 4, fuel pump indicator, blue. Fuel pump relay working. So when we fire this up, that blue light should come back on. All right. Now before I started, there's one more thing you need to check, or a couple more things. I'm going to walk you through it. You get your gauge, all this stuff pull up. It lets you know your battery gauge, your fuel pressure, your engine coolant temp, your oil pressure, but we're not worried about any of that stuff right now. We're going to hit that icon in the corner. We're going to go to tuning. You're going to go to system settings. You're going to go to advanced. You're going to drag this all the way down. You're going to have this icon at the bottom that says key off, clear learn data. You're going to click, bam, click it again until it pops up. You're going to hit yes. And then you're going to go up to this box over here and it's going to save it. That's important. All right. All this other stuff, drive-by-wire, no. Transmission type, see there's your transmission type stuff right there. We're gonna ignore all that because we don't have to worry about that stuff. Fuel, this is important, very important. I don't remember if it's in basic or advanced. It might be in advanced. No, it might be in basic. It might be in basic. Yes. All right, in the basic, rated injector pressure. This is important. This is where a lot of people get frustrated with, and they think, oh, it won't fire my vehicle, or it won't do this, or it won't do that, or what have you. This kit comes pre-set up to 43.5 fuel pressure injection. That's what this kit's rated at, all right? And it's rated at that is the injectors that ACES sell on their sites are also rated at that much pressure. They also recommend you have a fuel pressure regulator, all right? And the reason for that is because the system is set at 43.5, their setups want you to run a return line, so you're feeding the system 43.5. Well, not everyone's gonna go with that. I hope I'm explaining this right. 9 times out of 10, you got a junkyard motor and you either got an inline pump, which those are rated at 58. Oh, yeah, they're rated at 58. Or you got a setup similar to mine where it's a drop-in tank. It's set at an amount already, what have you. This will not run if you got a pump in your tank set at 58. And this is in the system and this is set at 43.5. Again, it is, if you factory reset this system right now, it's gonna go back to 43.5. You need to go in here, click that injector pressure, click it again until it pulls it up, and you need to change that to the recommended pressure that your pump is doing. If you're running a pump that pumps out more pressure than that and you have a return line, but you got a regulator up front, that regulator, whatever is letting go past, you need to make sure that that number matches this number in this system. That's pretty much it. Okay, I had to put you guys in another angle. That wasn't gonna work for demonstration purposes. All right, fuel pump kicked on. This thing popped on. Let's give it a go. But one. You heard that, right? All right. Let's try again. Let's give it a little throttle, so like a big toe work. We're gonna let it off. We're gonna let the pump reboot. Give it a little big toe. Check our fuel pressure. It's at 58. We don't want to keep laying on it. Again, it's trying to create a map tune. Now, I have been told through a couple guys, because I talk on the Facebook groups, that the more modified that you have a motor, it's a little bit harder to start it up. But I'm going to show you guys, you can get this started. It's not difficult. Okay, we almost got it. Give it a little big toe. Hear that? Okay. That fuel pump light came on. That blue light blinking means it's learning. I'm gonna go ahead and kill it because I want to blow you guys' eardrums out, but just like that. What did I tell you? Those 4 simple wires we hooked up straight to the battery, straight to the ground. You got your switched ignition that I ran inside to my ignition switch temporarily. Okay, and that fuel pump. Now, I didn't mention this a while ago when I was discussing that relay. If your fuel pump pumps out more, if it bypasses the 15 amp, just order you like a Mr. Gasket relay kit for the fuel pumps, like a heavy duty one, and use that wire that come off the ACES kit. Use it as a trigger wire for the relay instead. Okay. Sorry, I got that backwards. Scratch that. The wire coming up off your pump, the power wire, you run that wire as the trigger. You run the power wire from that relay to that orange. Now I'm making sense. My hat done came off. Just to show you guys it wasn't a dang fluke. I'm gonna try to set you up one more time. We got oil pressure. Just listen to that thing. And that, hold on. And that is how you get ACES Jackpot working on your LS Swap hot rod. Want to give a huge shout out to ACES for being the middleman, as in those guys came in to the LS Swap game and they dropped a product. Because don't get me wrong, the Terminator system was already, you know, when it dropped, it was pretty reasonable, because the amount of money that you would spend getting your PCM flashed on a stock setup, and then getting an actual tune, and then having to go back and adjust and all that other stuff, plus fighting with that old crusty stock LS Hornets, you would have came out about the same spending money wise to buying the Terminator. Now let's fast forward a couple years, and god dang inflation got a hold of all of us, and them dang Holly kits, not saying they got a bad product, but they a little on the high side for your car enthusiast that's trying to, you know, support his family and all these other little things, guys. And so when ACES dropped this for, like, I believe I got this kit for like $800. Okay, that's $800 for the wiring harness that controls both 24 or 58 reluctor wheels. It came with the O2 sensors. It came with the PCM. It came with the relays and stuff already in the harness and everything. $800 is pretty dang cheap, guys. Not to mention, you know, it came with the I got the little sensor kit free, because when you buy something, they have a lot of specials. So I got that free with it. This is basically as budget friendly as it get if you don't own any of the softwares to flash computers and all that stuff. $800, guys, is not a bad price for this. And wiring it up is extremely simple. Just those 4 wires for the initial setup, the initial startup. Now I'll be reviewing this as I test and tune and dive into some of the stuff, because that's another issue that people have with the Jackpot, is they say it's not as user friendly. Guys, if I can figure this stuff out, there's not a doubt in my mind you guys can figure this stuff out. Just take your time, read your instructions to a T, do what it says. And if you have any questions, guys, call them, email them, let them know. They have a support group on Reddit. They are I don't think it's their dedicated support group, it's a group of guys, but I know for a fact if you get on the Facebook, they have a group on there. I'm on there. You can ask questions, people will answer them for you. There's pros and cons to every system, guys, but for a hot rod enthusiast that wants to just get a stock LS, he wants fuel injection, he wants it as bare bones as it can be, plug and play, the Jackpot is the way to go for that. And it's cheap. Cheap. I appreciate you guys for all the love and support. I really wanted to get this video out, but I didn't want to rush it because I actually had to do some setup this time. I had to plan all this. I'm trying to get like an idea of what I want my videos to be each week instead of just throwing a dice at something. And we've been getting so many parts for this Monte Carlo that it's just kind of been going. So don't worry, we ain't forgot about the 77 Trans Am. We ain't forgot about the 66 C10. It's currently got a carburetor on it right now after we LS swapped it. But what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking about pulling that motor back out. We might go ahead, throw a camshaft in it, upgrade the lifters and stuff, and just leave that one as is. But I will most definitely be using ACES kit on that, the powered out one. And if I play my cards right, I might get my hands on the 60E and we can show ACES transmission controls on that one. But I'm yammering, I'm running my mouth. It was freaking awesome for you guys to be here for this. If you haven't subscribed, guys, subscribe. We're almost at 1,000. This is unreal. There's not enough information on YouTube about this product, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. And if this video helped you out in any bit, shape, form, share it with a friend, like the video, and guys, don't be afraid of this. It's not hard, guys. Again, if I can figure it out, I know for a fact you guys can. See you in the next video.